Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Serving Nerve, the channel where I talk about really anything. Serving in the restaurant industry, stuff like that, but also just in a, general range of topics. I usually will do a reaction here, a video there. I like talking mainly about whatever philosophical views or perspectives I have on things, and I like questioning reality and becoming absolutely delusional as a result. But today, I really kind of want to talk to you about self love, self care, and the double edged sword that it truly can be in a host of regards. Now, one thing is the concept of balancing your workaholic lifestyle with your constant drive to self satisfy or gratify yourself or give yourself a break. You know what I mean? So, today I kind of want to talk about that. I'd like to talk about that because personally, I do not like to give myself breaks, give myself time for myself, which is, I think, very bad. It makes you have a very dogmatic view of reality. I really have an aversion to spending time playing video games, spending time doing really anything until the very end of the night when I get back from work and I sit my butt down and I usually will have a drink, have a couple drinks, chill out, watch TV, unwind, shove a bunch of food in my mouth, and then go to bed. And then repeat the process all over again. My typical day is usually I get up, sit my butt down, make some coffee, whatever the case is for like coffee and stuff. Might smoke a cigarette, terrible. And then I usually will start recording videos, working on business, doing maybe a workout or something, which I guess you could consider self-care. And then I usually get ready for work if I'm working, and then I leave. And if I'm not working that day, I then will maybe do some grocery shopping, do laundry, clean up, and then I'll also usually just do more work until I'm burnt out, tired, and then go to bed usually after eating or whatever. And, I'll have company every now and then. I'll go out, meet friends, do my dealios, make friends, go on dates, do all kinds of stuff outside of that, which I really try to prioritize. Outside of everything else, when it comes to my typical daily doulas, I usually will give myself two things. One, I work out every day. No matter what the case is, I work out every single day. I also try and get in some good nutrition, some healthy food, etc. We don't want to live off of junk food because that's just not good for our mental and physical health. But the other thing I do is I always endeavor to socialize. I'm a very extroverted person. If I do not socialize, I'm basically dead. So that is also a form in my mind of self-care. And also, pardon the stuff in the background. Sorry about that. I haven't cleaned up yet today. And I have like a bunch of laundry that is now dirty. The clean laundry pile became the dirty laundry pile because now all the laundry's used up. But, in general, my main thing is I tend to look at myself like if I'm awake and if it's the daytime, if I'm getting up, I will get up earlier if I need to. I have to get X, Y, and Z done work-wise. My schedule right now is pretty flooded, and I'm also a bit desperate because I know that I'm not making enough money at work at the moment to be able to sustain any level of well-being, so I probably have to try and pick up. But we're all overstaffed at my work right now, so nobody can pick up anything because everybody's trying to hawk shifts. But, it is what it is. It's life. So I'm trying to get more business stuff going for myself, get some side gigs going, start hustling like a little hustler. But yeah, that's the kind of thing that I'm always about. When I get up, that's my working hours. When I work out, it's basically like just before I go to work, I'll work out, then get right out the door, go to work, get home, and then I unwind. Until the very end of the night, I am not unwinding. I'm going until I'm gone. And, even then, I'll still think to myself, I should probably do more work. I should probably do more work. I should probably get this thing done. I could do this thing right now. And there are nights where I will do it, and I'm probably going to overhaul my schedule so that I'm basically just going to be working from like 6 a.m. to 2 for maybe a few days. And then, I don't know, man. It's hard to gauge because then I won't be sleeping. See, this is the problem is I wish I never had to sleep. I hate sleeping. It's a big time waster. I don't like sleep. I don't want to be going to bed. I don't want to be waking up in the morning. I just want to go until I'm done. And I will do all-nighters every now and then, but honestly, it's just too much sometimes. Like, I used to be way more vibrant when it came to an all-nighter, fueled by Coca-Cola and video games. But if it's a working all-nighter, it's one of those rough ones. And I still might do that. Maybe I'll do it Monday because I'm off Tuesday, and I might do a nice little working all-nighter. But I'm not sure yet because I think I have company coming on Tuesday. Oh my god, I also made a friend who's literally just like me. through Boo. And by the way, Boo is like a dating app slash friendship app. It uses AI and it's more personality oriented. Check it out if you are also having trouble finding friends. It's a worldwide app. You can globally find people. So it's pretty cool. Outside of that, though, when it comes to self care, usually again, like as I've gone off about my self care practices, my current practices, my overworking, my underworking, my feeling like I'm never working hard enough, my workaholic-esque type view, and the beating down that I sometimes will do to myself because I feel like I'm just not doing good enough. And I very well could be. I very well could be making too many mistakes. There's also a balance for individuals who do not promote getting things done, and it creates a negative attitude as well. I really don't like the current nature of online self-care routines. I think it just builds vanity. I think a lot of these online self-care gurus and stuff, I think a lot of them just market nothing. Like, they basically market indulging vanity at times. I don't really believe in the concept that you as an individual need constant, like, self-care and gratification and, to be, like, babied and bubbled by your own self. This is, like, reality. Maybe when you're a teenager or you're younger, you can get away with that. But at some point, we have to put our foot down and work our butts off. And, self-care, self-love, having time for self-care, it's a luxury. I used to not have any time for that luxury. I didn't have any access for that luxury, and it's an absolute luxury to get the opportunity to do it. Now, the thing I also noticed, though, is people do have a very torn, scorned view of the matter, where they can just be on one side or the other, no self-care, or they have constant self-care and they need to be, constantly positive to themselves because maybe they're depressed, maybe they have, some kind of anxiousness in society, maybe they are working really hard and they're overhauled, or they're in school and they're overhauled. Like, there are instances where self-care and self-gratification are important, but I feel like we have such a weird view of it now where you're constantly having to hear people talk about their self-care, and they put it on like their morning routine, and you'll see the stereotypical morning routine, self-care routine, and it's so unrealistic because most of us, our forms of self-care are you go home, you have a drink, you go to bed, you get in some more sleep, or, you watch a TV show, or eat food, you order a takeout or something because you can't be bothered to cook. Like, you do stuff that's more on the minute scale of just functionality. At least that's what I've seen from individuals I've interacted with. When I see, like, a glowing up little Instagram scene where you have rose petals in your bathtub and you have like Netflix on your flat screen TV that you have in your bathroom for some reason, or like whatever craziness, and you have like your Trulies or your non-alcoholic seltzers and stuff in a perfect little cascaded bucket of ice, and you have your husband rubbing your feet for you or whatever, and like whatever the case is, sometimes that sounds that sounds awesome, but two, I just don't see it as accurate. I honestly just don't see those things as accurate forms of like self-care. I don't understand why people put it online for self-care, and maybe that's my own arrogance because people can put whatever they want online and everybody has a different form of self-care. I just feel like most of us don't really do that. I feel like most of us have a different perspective where instead our forms of self-care are like, yo, I'm just gonna take a break. I'm gonna take a day off of work. I need to take a day off of work, or I'm gonna take this, this one takeout, to my house because I just cannot be bothered to cook, or whatever. Anything that's small and minute, or I'm gonna catch an extra hour of sleep, or I'm gonna watch a TV show. I feel like these are the more normalized forms of self-care. I just feel like those are more likely forms of self-care than somebody who's going to go all out 100%. And, again, it's just to give a little bit of a break, some deliverance. But I feel like there is a bonus to even doing the more extreme, because that's just my personal view of a more extreme self-care routine, where you're more like, you go all out. And I'm the kind of person who does go all out, but more for other people than myself, especially when it comes to self-care and stuff. But, going all out, it'll make it a bigger event in your mind, and maybe it will fortify you to be even more positive. So I can see that as also being kind of a pleasantry, And again, self-care is a double-edged sword. It's just based on, like, how you use it. Loving yourself, I think, is stupid. I don't really love myself. I love the things I do. I love the people I meet. I love the experiences I can have. But I don't love myself, and I don't really want to ever love myself. It's not like I hate myself or anything like that, but what's the point of loving yourself? And I'm sorry that I'm rambling, but this is just stuff that I've been seeing a lot. The concept of self-care is not on the basis, in my opinion, of self-love. And maybe it's because I'm cold and I'm distant and ruthless and I'm actually dead inside and I have no hope and I'm bitter, so that's why I'm saying this. Or maybe it's because to be neutral with oneself and then give your mind some semblance of blessing. To indulge yourself and your senses in both pain and pleasure, discomfort and relief creates a balanced human experience, which is part of being human. Like, you don't have to love yourself, in my opinion. I don't really think it's necessary to love yourself. The number one thing, though, is to function optimally in society. And if that does mean proposing to yourself that you love yourself, again, that's another option. I just personally have a more negative view and a more pessimistic view of the world and of how people can become very easily vain and subtract from their good attributes by saying they're good. You love yourself. You say you love yourself. You have to put these affirmations in your head, but you don't actually need them to love yourself. I feel like it's just a weird falsification of your actual intentions towards yourself, which is to take care of yourself and be smart with what you're doing. And at the same time, I feel like it also can make you appeal to futility a lot, the futility of your circumstances. Instead of overworking and working hard to get out of a situation, you can just, give yourself a self-care day and stuff like that. And for me, I don't think I've ever given myself a day for self-care. And, I really would like to, in fact, I think I will perform a day, 24 hours, an experiment, because that might change my mind. That really might change my mind if I 100% that whole day don't do anything. And I'm not trying to say this to just not do anything for 24 hours and to be depressive and stuff. I think it would be mainly just subtracting the laborious elements of the day. You take a day off of work. You take a day off of cleaning. You just make sure you enjoy your nice little day. You give yourself that day. And maybe I'll endeavor to do that on Wednesday and see how it goes, because I can overhaul and get everything done the day prior and then just enjoy that day for myself and see how it goes. And then maybe my perspective of self-care and self-love will change. But honestly, I just feel like we all just give into that weird loop way too commonly. And I know I'm more ranting than anything else today. It's kind of part of the channel, honestly. But, I just don't think that it's realistic when you have to be a working class individual to apply continual self-love and self-affirmation. It's a distraction. It's a distraction to your mind when you have other things you need to get done. And maybe that's my skewed perception of reality and actually takes away from my efficiency because I don't give myself enough time to just take care of myself. But I don't even feel like it's a penalization in some capacities. It's literally just a part of life where I'd rather have to work than have to take a day off for self-care. And that doesn't mean I work every single day at my job. It doesn't mean that I, work 24 hours a day. But for me, maybe my forms of self-care are actually me working my butt off and then at the end of the night crashing in bed and thinking that I'm getting somewhere with my life, even if I'm not, Because at the end of the day, I don't know if I'm going to get any bit further than I'm already. I have no idea if I'm going to be successful in any of my endeavors, but I feel like taking time off from doing what I know I need to do isn't caring about myself. It's not caring about my future self. It's not caring about myself when it comes to my life, my friends, my family, my fortifications. I just feel like it doesn't do that for me. And maybe that's my skewed perception of reality. And I'm sure I'll experiment with this. In a few days, I might try and do a self-care day to see what happens. But for me, my forms of self-care maybe consist more of working than anything else, and that could very well be out of desperation and desire for success like most selfish human beings. But I feel like everything we do with ourselves in mind, whether it's for our careers, whether it's for our self-gratification, our self-love, our affirmation, whether it's for anything to do with ourselves, it's technically considered a selfish act. Not a bad act. Being selfish isn't always bad, but a selfish act, a self-indulgent act. And when I look at this, it's part of life. It's part of being human. It's part of being your own individual. You should never think hive-mindedly. But it just makes me think to myself that perhaps that is why my perception of self-love and self-gratification might be suboptimal for some people. But personally, my perception of self-love is to be able to take care of myself financially. So perhaps that's the weird psychological, noting in my mind of me working and finding that I don't really give myself a day off from working on stuff. If I'm not working on YouTube, I'm working on a business. If I'm not working on a business, I might be reading a book about business. If I'm not doing that, I might be, figuring out stuff about LLCs or looking up information online or looking into taxes, and I need to do my taxes still. That's another thing. I just have a lot on my mind. So for me, I can't enjoy a day if I have stuff I know I need to do. And other people can take a day off and be like, I can get to it the next day. I can't. I get way too anxious with that, and perhaps that is my issue. But generally speaking, for yourself, the concept of experimenting with a day, like a self care day, is not an indecent idea. I don't want to discourage you from that, but I'm also saying I feel like the forms of self care that we apply to, social media, the forms of self care that involve taking a day off, enjoying the day with Netflix, blah, blah, Netflix and chill, just whatever. I don't feel like it's accurate, and I don't feel like it's the only way to do it. But at the same time, you're also talking to a working extremist who believes that they can't enjoy anything unless everything is done, and there's always more to do, so they can never enjoy anything. So there's a balance, and you need to find that balance for yourself, which was why I was just kind of spewing a bunch of verbiage at this camera so that you can kind of get a different level of perspective from somebody who's trying to just kind of understand the balance themselves. It's not like I know anything about self-care and self-love, but it's also something that I see kind of like some flaw in, to be completely honest. But generally speaking, if you feel like you need a day for self-care, self-love, self-gratification, experiment and see what happens. Worst comes to worst is you don't like it and you don't have to do it again, or you can try something new. But yeah, or you can, keep working and then stay in the endless loop that is your unsatisfaction. And the reality is, the question that I have to ask is, are you unsatisfied so much so, or are you just tired? Like, if you're tired, then you can just take a break from whatever makes you tired, hopefully, unless you're in a very inappropriate situation where you really can't take a break from it. Or, if you're, unsatisfied, a self-care day is not going to do anything. I don't think a self-care day will do anything if you're unsatisfied, because you have to fix what is unsatisfying to you. So, it's again, I'm sorry I'm rambling and ranting, but it's just something that's been on my mind. But anyways, I just have a very different perspective on self-care, and I think that's why I wanted to talk about this a little bit. But anyways, that was the video. If you like my content or you don't like it, do whatever you want. I don't care. Anyways, check out other videos if you're inclined. If not, I'll maybe never see you again on the cesspool that is the internet. But yeah, that was the video. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, my people. And yeah, tell me what videos you want to do next. Anyways, it has been lovely, and I will see you next time. Slater.